Welcome to Savor Newark, the podcast. Although we touch topics on everything Newark, our next guest, although his journey began in Newark, he's now the co-founder partner of a very known hospitality group called LV Hospitality Group. Marcelo Martins is building a reputation in Newark, but not only in Newark, New Jersey as a state, Manhattan, and beyond. From Algarve with love, Marcelo Martins. Welcome to Savor Newark.
Thank you for having me, Carlos. It was a pleasure.
Congratulations. You're now a father.
Correct. Mm-hmm.
I know that you're a man of family values. How is your daughter inspiring you and shaping your approach to business?
In many ways, probably being a little bit more responsible with the way I conduct myself in business and the ventures that I choose to take on. But she gives you that second, sense of purpose, something beyond yourself. It's selfless, very special.
Mhm. Your journey began in Newark.
Yep.
So you came from Portugal, lived in Newark first, or?
Born and raised in Newark, New Jersey. And then I had episodes of living in Portugal,
Oh, that's
some of
right.
my elementary school, some of my middle school, and a little bit of my high school in Portugal.
Right.
So I was flying back and forth, but, really absorbing a lot of the culture that living in Newark, but, Portugal as well, which was very positive for me.
And that definitely has shaped the person that you are.
Yeah, it's had a major influence in, how I carried myself.
Uh, as a younger boy in Newark, you've done some cool raves and parties.
Yeah.
There was always an entrepreneur side to yourself. You're very big into the entertainment industry as well.
Sure.
You love music. Tell me how what was your upbringing and how do you feel that it shaped your taste for entertainment and putting events together?
Yeah, my father had a background in the hospitality space. Really, just when he first moved to the United States, he went to California. He was in LA, and he worked in some very notable restaurants at the time. And he growing up, he had this album of photos that just of him working, at a restaurant. And he got this opportunity to meet all these cool people: Lionel Richie, Rod Stewart, Michael J. Fox, Tina Turner, Whitney Houston, all these big credible names from back in the day that were in the entertainment music space. So with a little bit of that, experience in the restaurant business, and just his personality, having all that flair for music and being around all those people, growing up in a house where you're always listening to music, and I maybe had that little bit of influence in me where I had that, I had that inclination towards music and the hospitality and restaurant business. And eventually I went on to, throw some parties on myself at a young age. And as you mentioned, the raves here in Newark, and that was kind of the kickoff to all that.
Hmm. Very good. And then when from that point, you also started working in restaurants. And
Yeah, so in high school, when I was in high school, I had the opportunity to work, for Ciabras, and started really just on holidays, 14, 15, really working, New Year's Eve parties as a busboy, and eventually they gave me the opportunity to serve some tables and, bartend, and from there on, I kind of just, seeked the different opportunities in different restaurants. And really worked every position that you can have in a restaurant. Was busboy, food runner, served tables for a long time, bartended, then eventually had the opportunity to manage a restaurant, and from there on out, it was kind of the evolution of where I am today.
what is it about restaurants that you're so passionate about?
It's kind of like a love and hate relationship, to be quite frank. There's this part of me that I believe I'm really good at it, and really not so much the special things, kind of the simplicity of the restaurant business, the engagement of serving a table, interacting with the guests. I kind of at an early age grasped the concept of what people wanted, and I knew how to serve more than just food. I knew how to serve a kind of an experience and make people feel special. And whether it was in a fast casual environment of a restaurant or some of the more high end restaurants that I worked in. I just knew that people wanted to feel special, and I think it went beyond the food and beyond the beverage. Customer service was very, important to me, and that kind of shaped a lot of the way I trained my staff and the way we run our operations today.
You're definitely arguably one of the youngest people in the business with that high level of success, and it was a success that came to you at a very young age. What do you think that made you so special? Was it you managing your brand, personal brand, connecting with the right people, your work ethics? How did this all unfold for you to be so young already associated with such big names?
Well, I'm grateful for your generosity in saying I'm successful. I beg to differ. I think it's still taking its course. But I think one of the things that gave me maybe a little bit of an advantage at a young age was just my work ethic. Um, you know, I was committed to this idea that I envisioned when I was young of of opening restaurants and building a name for myself in the space, and I was committed to it. And during the course of, let's call it, the last 14, 15 years, sometimes you get a little sidetracked, you want to diversify, you have other opportunities presented to you. But I always maintained a strong presence in the restaurant business. It's something I never abandoned, and had a lot of failures. But somehow the failures just motivated me to keep getting it right. And eventually some things turn out right, come into fruition the way you want them to, and most of them don't. But you just keep marching forward, and it never turned me off. It was always an inspiration. It always motivated me to keep going, and I just the feeling of failure was something that always really bothered me. So it kept me hungry.
How do you go from putting these raves together in Newark
Hmm.
and then fast forward booking Shoes and Ceballos, also booking Tiesto at American Dream Mall?
Yeah.
What happened in between?
Uh,
Because it seems that it's such, for some people, right?
yeah.
It's such a distant reality. Like,
Sure.
what do you mean booking Tiesto? I went to school with this guy.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's so successful.
Sure. I think it was, being around the right people, putting in the right amount of work, staying committed to, this idea of whatever you build the definition of success at the time to be. You have these inspirations and, aspirations to one day get to that level, and you blink your eyes, and then eventually you have the opportunity. You put yourself around the right people, and nothing I've done has been by myself. All um, these large scale events that we put together was a collaboration between a couple people and myself, and I'm grateful to myself for putting in the work, and I think meriting their trust. But I'm also grateful to them for taking that risk on me, and their vote of confidence. And if you when you come from nothing and somebody gives you that vote of confidence, you want to repay it 10 times fold. So that's something I always took very personally. I never wanted to leave a situation or a business relationship or somebody that gave me the opportunity to do something that was special to me, and leave a bad taste in their mouth. So it's something I always took very seriously, maybe more serious than I take my own ventures.
So from Newark, when did you have that big break? And you also had a club in
Yeah.
Hoboken.
So I think from Newark, what it really created was a little bit of a platform where um, it opened some doors for me to get in the right rooms. And my first management job, real management job for a notable restaurant, was at the age of 20 when I had the opportunity to manage a restaurant in Edgewater, Pier 115. And this restaurant, I was there for about a little bit over 4 years. And in the course of that time, this restaurant became one of the most notable spaces in New Jersey. One, I think, for the destination, the location where we were, right on the water, on the Gold Coast of New Jersey, um, views to the New York City skyline. And the people I worked for at the time, just, they were New York City restaurateurs. So I really had to step my game. It was the first time I was really working with um, people who had a different caliber of experience that I was used to here in New Jersey. And the gentleman at the time that owned the restaurant took a liking to me and gave me an opportunity to keep growing within the company. And within 4 years, I started off as a entry level manager, making a very, very conservative little salary, but working 78 hours a week. And that commitment uh, really shaped my growth at that time. But I think I became obsessed with the learning, that took place at that time. I learned a lot, and it was very humbling because you build a little bit of an ego for yourself sometimes, and you try to fight that. But when you put yourself in a room that people are better than you and smarter than you have to step up, to keep up, and that's what that initial venue gave me the opportunity to do. Um, and from there on, after that, I was approached by a gentleman that had a few different establishments in Hoboken, the background in commodities. He had his own brokerage firm. Um, Somebody that, not to put his business out there too much, but a little bit of a gambler, and he took a risk at me at 24 and brought me on to open up this club, give me a little piece of the pie, and I had an opportunity to you know, run this establishment, full autonomy, bring in the people that I wanted to bring in. And, in that year, we just, this place had a lot of success. And, it
It
was,
wasn't just any club; it was
yeah.
for the club of Hoboken back then.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that Hoboken was always known for its parties, its events, the nightlife, the bar scene, but I think we were one of the first locations to bring in some really big names as far as artists and the way we ran our operations, from the training and the level of service that our waitresses had to our bar staff, and the rest of the team around us. I think we did something special over there, and um, it was really a leap for me career-wise, where it opened up my horizon to working with some of the best people, at least in the state.
Mhm. Going back to the time that you were born in Newark, a few years later you went to Algarve,
Yep.
sunny Algarve, with a vibrant hospitality scene. Do you think that the fact that you're also exposed to Algarve, the Portuguese and European reality, inspires you today in your approach to hospitality, concepts, ideas, sophistication?
Yeah, it was. I think it was monumental because I think here, culturally, we here in America, there's when you work in the restaurant business, as good as the customer service is, it's a little bit robotic. It's your standard operating procedures, your steps of service, and you kind of engrave that in your head, and that's how you move. I think going to Portugal, I saw a little bit more of this intimacy from the setting or the dining setting, where there was a little bit more of warmth. There was a little bit of a higher level of service and etiquette, because hospitality is so critical, in Algarve. It's the number one thing that everyone, if you're not going to go to school for a specific, trade, everyone just goes into the hospitality space because of the hotels, the resorts. That's the what's in demand as far as work. And most of my family in Portugal, either work in hotels, restaurants, bars, own their coffee shops. So being susceptible to to that experience of growing up. And um, at an early age, my grandfather, he actually used to clean the pools of a few resorts at the time, and he used to take me so I could go swimming. And I was susceptible to how people were being served poolside, and that little touch of, I guess, maybe what you expect at a 5-star hotel or a 5-star resort, um, really inspired me to, apply that to, even if it's a different setting, more of a fast casual restaurant. Maybe the restaurant's not so elevated, but if I'm working in it, to always try to output that level of service and that intimate approach where you build that bond with the guest and you serve them, and the etiquette behind the body language, all of it. It comes together and kind of really shaped how I took at least my approach to the service industry.
You've had clubs, you've had restaurants, you have restaurants.
You know,
You have restaurants that also kind of combine a little bit of a club feel.
yeah.
If you were to to choose, which ones do you like the best? Either clubs, restaurants. I mean, what's your favorite part of it all?
Um, to be quite frank with you, my favorite part about like what we have going on is we're in a. I think that the market shifted a little bit to a place where everyone's trying to be the next trendy place, and you have these food bloggers that come in, and their experience and their feedback and what they post kind of creates this little bit of a buzz around your space. um, and as much as it's impactful in the and it's necessary for you to achieve a certain level of success because it's important for marketing and the promotion of your establishments. I think we don't, our focus isn't too much on pleasing the food blogger that's coming in. Our focus is on building a relationship with the customer, the guest, making sure that they want to come back. When they come to our restaurant, they know who to contact. On any given night, they could put a reservation through Open Table or another reservation platform, but they'll reach out to me and they'll ask for the table, um, and it's never an annoyance, it's never a nuisance. It's something that to me, it's the best thing when somebody reaches out to me and wants to come dine at my place. And this kind of mentality and culture is something that we've kind of promoted to our management staff. And now seeing former clients of mine now reach out to my management staff instead, and they're closer to them now and building that bond. But the fact that they still want to come and support our business is something that's very special for us. You know,
So right now, tell me a little bit of your hospitality group,
sure,
the restaurants that
yeah.
you have right now, and what makes you so unique and w- such a reference in the field.
Yeah, so I think we took a little bit of a different approach. Most recently, we kind of saw this shift in the market where people were seeking experiences and not just a place to come and dine. So, we incorporated this entity that's called LV Hospitality, stands for Lifestyle Venues. And to us, it was more about, most recently we opened up this new restaurant, the American Dream, called Dream 360. That's really comprised of three different venues inside one, and it's one being the Japanese hibachi sakai, which in itself, the dining experience behind hibachi is, it's more of an eventful thing. It's more of an experience. You sit down, the chef comes out, puts a show, so that really captures the attention of the guests. And then the other two sides are one, the Topgolf Swing Suites, which is this virtual golf experience, has different virtual sports as well. And what that has enabled us to do is create an environment where guests get to come, sit down, dine, try our food, but they're in this room where you get to play sports, you get to engage in a different form of dining. You're not just sitting there across from somebody having a meal. You're sitting down, you're bantering, you have the sports elements you get to engage in, and families love it, and it's a great experience for group settings.
I don't know if people are really realizing the type of venue it is. I got to go
Yeah,
the grand opening. The grand opening, I got to hang out with Ice-T,
yeah,
Naughty by Nature,
yeah,
NBA legends. So it seems that people, depending on where you are in your life and regardless of your bank account, everybody seems to feel comfortable around your venues and around you
yeah.
in particular. You think that that comes from your ethics, your values. You treat everybody always with class, dignity.
Sure. I think that, listen, like you mentioned, you get, you were at the grand opening of the restaurant, the press and media day. You saw a lot of, athletes and musicians and let's call them different celebrities or social elites, and we're very grateful when they attend our venues, and it's a testament to our work and the relationship we built with them. But whether you work a 9 to 5 or you're a celebrity, and the treatment and the service that we're going to put forward, the bond that we're going to try to build with you is the same. Whether you have 10 followers on Instagram or you have a couple million followers on Instagram, to us that doesn't really matter. It's about the person that we're trying to build the bond with. It's about the experience that we're trying to give that guest, and anybody that chooses to dine with us and join us in one of our establishments, it's we have a commitment to honor the hard dollar that they earn and they choose to come spend with us. So that in itself to us is critical in the process of how we treat our guests, and I think that's where the level of comfort comes from. Guests dining with us and how they feel, and I'm glad you got to join us for the grand opening, experience that. It was something special. It was, probably one of our more special openings. So very, very grateful that you got to experience that with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pretty ambitious project.
Sure.
It's, as you said, it's three concepts, three venues in one.
Yeah.
How do you manage such a beast?
It's really the team. I'm such a small element, such a smart part of that whole equation. I've recently transitioned to being more in the planning phase of these things, and I quarterback more from the office, and and our weekly meetings and strategizing the direction that we're going to go. But they're the people that are the foot soldiers of the venue really are the ones doing the hard work. The ones that are serving the tables, the managers that are running the establishments on a daily, on a day-to-day operation. So I I'm a very small part of that equation. There's a big team. The partners that we have involved in all our projects all contribute a substantial amount of effort and work into these places, whether it's from the aspect of being able to acquire the location and then designing the space and strategizing what kind of concept we're going to put in place. Um, so it's a big team effort, and the only way I can even be a part of this equation is by having a great team behind us, and everyone works very hard. We have no days off, so we like it that way. It keeps us young, keeps us alive.
One thing about you, so it seems, you don't seem to be the type of person that plays it safe there necessarily. You open a Japanese place,
Yeah,
let me just open a Greek place,
yeah,
why not? Or a sports bar, or Brazilian Japanese fusion.
sure.
What goes through the mind
It's
of Marcelo to try all these things?
it, it's to be quite honest with you, it's having again, and the vote of confidence of the people that get behind these crazy ideas, and that see me as an asset and allow me to, in some cases, have full autonomy over these concepts. In other cases, be a part of a team effort. And when you have people that believe in you, it builds a little bit of confidence. It builds a little bit of assurance. And there's a little bit of self merit there because I think it's earned. In life, I think you have to earn everything. So with this combination of a mindset where I believe that the rent is due every day and I have to put in my work, my dues are due every day, and then having the team of people that support you, and even sometimes you're losing money and it fails and they still get behind your next project, or they still bank on the future and the success of what it could be. uh, that makes life a lot easier. So, and I say this not being humble. It's the truth of it is having the right people behind you that believe in you and continue to invest in you, and give you the opportunity to let a little bit of this volatile, crazy mind go into the world, and kind of let the ideas flow. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I think even when it does work or when it doesn't work, that being in the trenches with the team, and I think everyone builds this grand admiration for each other and respect. So even when it fails, it's the respect is still there, the admiration's still there, the aptitude to take on a new project is still there, and that makes it a very that makes it an environment where confidence never lacks.
Although you're pretty adventurous, the whole gratitude towards the ones who truly believed in you never changes. You do the best you can, just not to let them down. And
Yeah, Yeah, because I mean, listen, everyone sees, everyone has a perception of what this really is. I happen to be the face in a lot of the projects that I do. And people build this perception that it's a one-man show or that I own everything. That's not the truth. I'm a managing partner in everything I do. I have there's principals behind me. There's people that bank most of these projects, and the without them, there would be nothing. I don't come from a wealthy family. I worked very hard for what I have, the little I have, and I would never be able to take on a project that requires, multiple millions of dollars if it wasn't for, the people that finance these projects, the people that give me the opportunity to, um, be their partners and invest in me. And some of the projects that I've taken on by myself, smaller scale, that I funded myself, and I've lost, I've felt, what that is, that loss, and on a much smaller scale, obviously. So um, now take a step forward, and you're dealing with, a larger investment and someone's hard-earned money. You take that a lot more seriously, and the graciousness comes from understanding, what their commitment is to me, and in turn, I have to give them that commitment as well.
For people who don't know, which are the main restaurants of the group of venues that
Yeah,
you?
so our personal baby, and I think I speak for everybody in the group, the Highwood is very special to us, uh, for the sole purpose that we opened up in the peak of the pandemic in 2019, the day of my birthday, August 20th, and we were scheduled to open out a week later, but we happened to get all our, our things in place in time to last second, the morning of, we just said, let's open the restaurant, let's open the doors. And we ended up opening the restaurant. And our first year was our best year until, we just did our five-year anniversary, which is pretty crazy. But believe it or not, our first year was our best year. And every year since, it's done well. It's something that's been in our portfolio, and we never want to get rid of. The location, the type of setting it is, the establishment. It's kind of like our baby. Um, and then most recently, we opened up Dream 360, which again has the Japanese hibachi concept Sakai. Um, we have the swing suites, Topgolf Swing Suites, excuse me, the bar and lounge area too, where you got to experience the kind of production that we put in place. And um, again, that room to us was probably our biggest project to date, 22,000 square feet. A lot of planning, a lot of strategizing. We had the opportunity to, take on a license deal with Topgolf, which was, a big brand nationally. Putting that all together was pretty special. So that's really the bread and butter of our portfolio. Other members of our group have the House of Q, the Texas style barbecue concept that's was in Hoboken for over 10 years. Now at the American Dream, going on 5 years as well. And at the moment with this portfolio, that's our those are our babies. Yeah.
Very good. You come from a Portuguese and Brazilian background,
Yeah.
two great nations of great food.
Sure.
How has that shaped your taste buds and growing up? It was you ate more Portuguese or Brazilian or both?
It's funny because I've always been a little bit more inclined towards the Portuguese side of my family. That's where I spent a lot of time out of America. Right, and being from the south of Portugal, Algarve, seafood's very big for us. So my palate's more guided towards seafood, and it's called probably the Portuguese cuisine. But I was raised by my mother most of the time. My father and my mother, right? But my mother was the one that was home. While my father was working, she was the one that cooked for us, and rice and beans were part of our cuisine every day. So
Bacalhau com natas and rice and
yeah,
beans.
yeah. So to be honest with you, I love dining out, but there's nothing like rice and beans cooked by my mother. You know, and that's the one side. The other side is the traditional food in Portugal, camarão a guilho, barbigão, amêijoas, and all that, the simple seafood that's really cooked in olive oil, white wine, a little garlic, onions. It's for me, it's more about the quality of the product then the seasoning and all that. And that's something in Portugal you have that's very rich. Our seafood, it's fresh. The old fisherman comes out 6, 7 in the morning, honks his horn. All the old people come out and buy their sardines, buy their doradas, and then
You
the
still have
seafood.
those sounds and smells and
Oh,
flavors
but that,
present.
that that to me is what's nostalgic. I'll be very honest. To me, what's nostalgic is not so much the taste of the food, but the setting in which the food is served, and how it smells, the scent of the food, um, uh, being, around the old fisherman, that horn goes off. And when I hear that, even when I go visit, it's still something that happens. And,
Feels like home.
feels like home, and that's what builds the bridge between the nostalgia. It's not so much the food itself. Of course, the food's very important, but I think the setting in which you're consuming the food, the people you're around, that little bit of ambiance is what really builds something special. I think that's what bridges me with the connection that I have with food.
Your group is definitely growing. Have you ever considered establishing a bridge between Portugal and the States?
That's actually my dream. Yeah, my dream is to have my eyes set on a property in Portugal. It's a former hotel that my grandfather used to take me to when I was a kid. Maybe, you know, 20 years ago, it was one of the hottest spots in Algarve as far as tourism and even a culinary scene. And it's been closed for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years.
Just waiting for you.
I don't know. I think it actually recently got acquired by a hospitality group out of Greece, but there's no movement on it yet. So I'm still hopeful. But I have this goal of maybe one day. It's far fetched, but trying to acquire it and trying to put my DNA in it, my footprint in it. And yeah, I think that's the next step for me. I can't speak for my group, but I think whether it's here or there, would be to venture off into the hotel space, And for me personally, that one specific, location in Portugal is something that you know I wake up to and I go to sleep thinking of. I think that would be a big accomplishment for me. Yeah,
I'm sure it'll happen.
yeah,
You'll definitely build that bridge and close that gap. And now seeing it from afar, but I know that you still have roots in Newark. I mean, that's you were born in Newark.
sure.
You're exposed to a more global fusion approach. You also established a name in New York City. Mm, you also mentioned that you like the simplicity of things. We at Plusable and Savor Newark, we really feel that in terms of Portuguese, especially Portuguese, Brazilian, and Spanish food. Newark is one of those case studies that you have a bunch of good restaurants that taste like Portuguese, Brazilian mommy
Yeah,
cooking. A lot of those. I mean, I've eaten os, um, cozida portuguesa. I feel that I'm eating at the level of being. I think that a lot of these restaurants, taken back to Portugal the way they are, would
sure,
still be considered good restaurants.
sure.
What do you think, being you such an expert and such a respected person in the field, what do you think that makes Newark so unique, and how do you explain that success?
I think in a positive way. Sometimes this term becomes a little bit derogatory, but I don't see it in that fashion. I think Newark's a melting pot. You have so much influence of so many different cultures, and then you kind of have, even though you have people like myself that grew up in Portugal, grew up in Newark, and have the Portuguese roots or the Brazilian roots or whatever the case may be, the Spaniard roots. Um, you kind of put your own taste to it. Like we've the Portuguese person or the Spaniard or the Brazilian person that has that culture but lives in Newark, we kind of become our own little bit of our own little entity, our own little DNA. We're not exactly Portuguese, we're not exactly American, or we're not exactly Brazilian. We're Brazilian American, we're Portuguese American, and you do things with this nitty gritty hustle of the Newark mentality but with the influence and aspirations that you get from your family and your visits to Portugal or your visits to Brazil, whatever the case may be. So it builds this little bit of a unique experience where you still get to experience great Portuguese food or Brazilian or Spanish, whatever the case may be, but kind of done our way, and I don't have anything in Newark, so I can't speak too much or take too much praise for that. But um, I think that what makes Newark so special is this kind of nitty gritty hustle mentality where you just you're always looking to build something, and you have a few guys like that that deserve that credit, and then they bring their roots into the equation, and they build these great concepts. And a perfect example of that, I have to give him a shout out, is Angel from Casa de Paco, where you walk in and you kind of have this fast pace, you know um, fast casual environment where the service is, it's quick and it's in your face, and it's friendly and it's intimate, but it's kind of ran like a family shop, right? But you go in and the food is phenomenal, and you eat these tapas that even though he's Spaniard from Galicia and Portugal have a very similar influence when it comes to food with the seafood, mariscos and all that,
The octopus.
and the octopus, and um, that to me is that what makes Newark special. People like Angel that are creating those kind of concepts and staying true to it, and and then there's a couple guys like him out here, but he's somebody that I think deserves a little bit of that spotlight, because to me, Kaz the Pak was a perfect example of what the culinary scene in Newark has become and is gonna grow to be. You know.
Mhm.
Well,
Um, you also built and your character, a lot of it in Newark, and from working in restaurants in the Ciabras group to promoting some events and parties and raves. To fast forward, you were telling me that story that you were when you booked when you guys booked Tiesto at
yeah,
American Dream Mall,
yeah,
and you're normally always very humble about your things, and you're always very I'm still I don't really feel successful yet, I'm strong. Always, that's always your the way you come across. But what was your feeling when you were going? You were telling me that you going. I don't know if it's a roller coaster
yeah.
or and you got to see all of those people and Tiesta. Did you really, at least for a minute, did you feel like I kind of made it, or?
Uh, yeah, I mean, not that I kind of made it, but it was a reflection on how far, I've come. And again, that was a big team effort. There was a lot of people involved in that, and I was a small part of that equation. But I recall, and I think I told you this story last time we sat together. We did this, we did Siesta at the Nickelodeon amusement park, and we had all the rides open, and close to 6,000 people, attended this event. And it took us a few weeks to put the production in place and to assemble the stage, the audio and visual production. The landscape of the amusement park was, you had all these rides in place, so you couldn't move, so we had to build this production around a bunch of roller coasters. And during the event, I wanted to take my videographer on one of the rides to get some shots from up top, and I ended up taking the ride with him on this roller coaster, and it was just him and I. And this roller coaster was it's probably the only one that you know uh, goes around the whole amusement park. And at one point, it rides right over the stage, and I this happened to be during the peak of the night, and I just remember looking down and seeing this production and the stage and the lighting and the VIP platforms that we built and how we tied it all together, and how people were just going crazy, the guests that frequented the event, that attended the event, excuse me, and that energy in the room. And it was just a moment and I was recording with my phone, and I just remember putting my phone down and saying, you know what, this is just something I'm going to take in and appreciate. And again, uh, going from doing these events here in Newark with more local DJs and 500-600 people in a room to 6,000 was a testament to a little bit of our growth, you know. So that was special.
Throughout this journey, what do you think that has been the most impactful, the most important of it all?
Uh, I think, to be quite honest with you, I think it's even something bigger than the actual business in itself. I think on a more of a personal level, you know, you commit so many hours and energy, and you know, you sacrifice, you know, the time with your family and friends, the holidays, and you know, when you look back, you have something to show for it. It brings some kind of you know, it brings a little bit of this sense of it was worth it. But at the same time, you know, you take a step back and you start to understand that um, you know, life is a little bit cyclical, and there's these moments where you have to, you know, go full force and pledge your commitment to, you know, scaling the brand and growing in the hospitality and business industry. But another part of that, you know, also makes you appreciate the little moments you have with family and friends, and the times that you're not, you know, putting all this effort and energy into serving someone else and bringing an experience to someone else. You know, the people that are there for your growth also deserve that. So, you know, I think that's something that I've learned within the, you know, my time in the business is on more personal level, not so much more professionally, but that's very important. You know,
To the ones that know you, follow you, and the ones that really don't, what can they expect from your hospitality group,
sure.
and how do you see the future?
I think we're going to continue to push the envelope. You know, I say this all the time. I think that our group is a bunch of, you know, great people, but I think we're all insane in our own little way. And if we don't feel the pressure, if we don't feel the risk, if we don't feel that we're pushing the envelope and doing something that, you know, is special and unique, I don't think we get out of bed for it. You know, so I think that, you know, people can continue to expect us to, you know, scale our projects, scale the, you know, the level and quality of what we're trying to, you know, put forward. And you know, not to give too many hints, but I think you know, one of our next projects is going to be a big testament to pushing that envelope. So I think you can continue to expect us to build good brands, establish a relationship with our customer base, listen to them, try to improve, and you know, not to sound redundant, but to push the envelope.
Very good. Any final word?
No, I just very gracious for your support. You and Isabel have been, you know, very special. Uh, I'm glad that we built this relationship, and you guys give me the opportunity to, you know, and a platform to, you know, promote my brand. Very grateful.
Very good. Thank you. It's our pleasure. Where can people find your brand?
Sure. We're on Instagram, social media platforms, right? Lifestyle Venues is our Instagram page. All the restaurants, the Highwood, Dream 360, Sakai Hibachi, Swing Suites, um, websites, social media. You'll continue to see some PR efforts on our end. You know, we recently did a segment with Fox 5. So we're getting some airtime on different platforms. And of course, you know, you're always pushing our brand for us. So listen to Carlos, listen to Isabel, and you'll stay in the know.
Very good. Well, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
brother.
This is our conversation with our great friend Marcelo Martins, a huge reference. So don't forget to follow his group. You won't be disappointed. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much.